Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
As always, the Ramble is sponsored by COACH Sheffield. If you're a growing business and you want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. Thank you for joining the team for their continued support for the Ramble. And today's Ramble is also sponsored by V&B Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that fantastic deal of 50% off your next MOT when you let them know you're a Rambler. And thank you again to Aaron and the team for their support also. What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I'm, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser. Chris Wilder has just finished his pre-Stoke press conference. And look, I say this every time, but he manages to turn me and make me positive and make me believe again. We've lost 4 games out of 5. Why am I now positive going into the Stoke game and certainly going into the playoffs? Look, This is his core strength. People will talk about tactical decisions and substitutions and fitness levels of the players and things, and all valid, all discussion points that are worth having. But in terms of how he can command a room and turn the atmosphere and lead a group, there is nobody better. And I am really confident that he will give everything to make us successful in this playoff campaign. Doesn't mean we'll do it. Doesn't mean we'll do it. We'll get into the press conference, then we'll get into your comments. But Adam Oxley from Radio Sheffield starts us off. And firstly, wanted to know about, have you heard anything more about the pitch invasion at Turf Moor? Because obviously there was a little bit of a, it was a little bit raucous, understandably so, but there were some close calls and things of that nature. So Chris says, yeah, I've had a call from the LMA asking if I was okay. The players and coaches have got calls from their respective unions as well to make sure they're all right. I understand the celebrations. It was just the organisation of it that we had a bit of a problem with, because we were assured certain things before the game. Those things didn't happen. The FA have also asked for our feedback on it, and we will, as ever, give them honest feedback on it. I do understand it, though, in terms of, the players and Scott and what have you. Adam says it needs to change, though, doesn't it? The safety of the players must and staff must be paramount. And he says, absolutely, 100% safety has to be the priority. He says, again, I understand it. Would it have been the same at Bramall Lane? Possibly. It's just the planning around it that we had the problem with. We're not taking anything away from the players or staff. The opportunity now of them getting to 100 points, it's incredible. So congratulations to them, which is, it's a fair thing to say, isn't it? The Burnley and Leeds celebrations then, sort of more leaning into Leeds, I think. Obviously, they witnessed it on the pitch with the Burnley players, but they'll have also seen the Leeds players' celebrations. Does that give you any extra motivation going forward into this playoff campaign? He says, I don't need that. I don't need any extra motivation. And I'm a big boy, because he obviously knew straight away what Adam were leaning into. It was the chants from the Leeds players about Chris Wilder. He says, I'm a big boy. I give it. I need to take it. Just before we go on to any of the rest of this is exactly how we'd said on the Ramble, how he will have reacted to it. It's how he should react to it. And it's how he has reacted to it. No surprises here that Chris Wilder has taken it on the chin, and he should, because he has given it and he can take it. So I love that about him, and I think that's more than fair. He says, I spoke to Pat yesterday, meaning Patrick Bamford. Patrick Bamford was the player initially leading the chants. He says, I've got no issue with him. He says, I'm not sure about some of the words used from a fellow pro, but I appreciated him giving me a call. So Patrick Bamford is the one that's rung Chris Wilder, most likely to apologise for what's been circulated on social media. He didn't go that far and say that he'd apologised. That's just me speculating, but why else would he ring him? I appreciate him giving me a call. I also spoke to Daniel Farke yesterday. He is a top guy. They are a top football club, and we would swap positions with him in a heartbeat. But we kept it alive until the 44th game, and that's something we can be proud of as a group. Adam said something else that we've spoken about on the Ramble, and I love this being the narrative around it because I completely agree with his sentiment. Adam says, is it boring without the banter, though? Would football be boring without the rivalries and things? He says 100% it would. You know me, I don't sit here and just roll out the boring lines and things like that. It's a big boys game. You give it, you've got to take it. And that's at every level, from Premier League right down to Sunday League. Local rivalries, rivalries between teams and players. I've got no issue with it. We had our moment in 18-19, and they've now got the same. It's an incredible achievement, what they've done. That you have to do a lot right to get promoted out of the Championship. We've done a lot of things right this season, and we've gone very close. Promotion is never a given in this league. Leeds were the favourites. There were odds on. You look at the budget, the size of the club, the playing staff, the history, the fan base, but they've not steamrolled it, and that's the Championship. It's always going to be difficult for every single team in this league. Don't underestimate how hard you have to, what you have to do, how hard you have to. So he said, I love this line and I wanted to get it right because it'll probably be part of the short that advertises the stream. He said, don't underestimate what you have to do, how hard you have to work, or how hard you party afterwards, which, fair play to him, fair play. On to the next two then. What's the mentality? Some saying, this is Adam's question again, some are saying rest key players, some are saying go with your best team to get some form. This is one of the key questions that we've been asking going into this Stoke game, and Adam's asked him directly about it. And Wilder says, yeah, it doesn't change for us. We're prepared to win every single game. We have got a few injuries, a few bumps and bruises, which we've been covering for. Some players need a rest. Some need a mental rest as well. Some need minutes in their legs, but there's not going to be wholesale changes. Adam had previously mentioned when he raised the question, you've obviously got a very successful under-21 side who won the league again yesterday. So Wilder sort of nudged in on that and sort of said, congratulations to the 21s and taking nothing away from them. I mean this respectfully. But concerning the under-21 team, this is why we need a Cat 1 Academy, because they beat Colchester under-21s to win that title yesterday. And dare I say it, if Colchester had any 21s that were of a solid level at the moment, they'd be in Colchester's first team, which is absolutely 100% true. And he says that is why we need Cat 1. We need bigger challenges for these boys in the 21s. The owners understand and recognise that. Ryan O'Neill will probably be involved in the next two. But I want to break the club record in the Championship. I don't know what our club record is. Is it 88 points? Is it 91? It can't be 91 points because we can't get to that. So, well, we can. What is the club record? If anybody knows what our points record in the Championship is, please let me know. He says Stoke were in the Premier League for a long time, but it says a lot that they're still not safe from relegation this season. He says I think they'll get out of it. I like them as a club. Mark Robbins is a superb manager, but it shows how difficult the Championship is. They've got supportive owners too. When supporters think it's easy to go straight back up, then Stoke are your example. Adam had mentioned that they've not finished. They've been down 7 years now and not finished higher than 14th. He said, Wilder says 2016 is also your answer. When United drop into League One, we should have bounced straight back up if that's how easy it is, but it's not. He says it doesn't work like that. Stoke would love to be in our position. We could have gone on the slide. We've had a rebuild, the hangover from a terrible season last year. We've not gone on the slide. We've got new players, a new team. I know where I'm at it, and the majority of our loyal fan base are in the same way of thinking. I know where I am with it, and the majority of our loyal fan base are the same. We're fighting, we're punching, we back ourselves, and we've overcome the majority of hurdles this season. We'll need to overcome a few more before now in the middle of May. Tom Davis, says Adam, will he be back for the next couple of games? He says he trained yesterday. We've got to assess him. But yeah, he could be involved. He'll definitely be involved for Blackburn, if not Stoke. That's a really positive thing because we need bodies and we need capable bodies in and around the first team. And that's no disrespect, but we are light in centre midfield with the injuries that we currently have. I'd like Sidney Peck to get a rest. I'd like Vinny Souza to have a bit of a rest, or certainly have his minutes managed, because it's a balance for him between getting up to speed and not getting injured, which is difficult. Adam then talked about the 300 games that Chris Wilde has achieved as Sheffield United manager. What does it mean to you? He says it means a lot, but it's irrelevant. To be honest, it was forgotten about pretty quickly. I watched the Jose Mourinho documentary not so long since, and he talked about collecting trophies and medals is nice, but I just want to win, and I want to win for my football club. Adam says, can we expect 300 more games in the Sheffield United hot seat for you? He says, I doubt it. I very much doubt it. It's a tough gig. It's incredibly rewarding too, but what I will say is my enthusiasm to achieve it is as big as it always has been. I'm always chasing that winning feeling, and that's what the club should be doing also. There's been talk this week about this is Danny Hall, when Danny Hall came in from the Sheffield Star. There's been talk, you said you spoke to Daniel Farker in the week. He's out celebrating the win and getting his side promoted, potentially as champions this season. You know, could even get 100 points, and he wakes up possibly with a hangover and sees that he may be getting a sack. What is going on? And Chris says, I get it. The game changes, expectations and things like that. We understand it. I had a good chat with Dan. He's a good guy. It's a great achievement. There's big pressure on all of us, but likely more so for him with the size of that football club. To football people, it's a ridiculous approach, but we have to deal with it. We understand that to external people, that may well be the way to go. So we deal with it. Are you concerned about Gus potentially having a ban going into the playoffs? Now, I had it clarified in our group the other day, or certainly someone put in our group, that the yellow cards are wiped on the last game. So if we go into the playoffs, you start with a clean slate. But apparently, if he gets 2 yellow cards over the next couple of games, the ban will still be enforced because it hasn't been wiped. So Danny asked him about Gus Hamer and being on 13 yellow cards. Does that come into your thought process? He says, yeah, it's in our thoughts. There's lots of things to think about, though. We have clarity now after the Burnley game. And I have to say, there were a lot of energy in the players. We want to finish the season on a high, especially the last home game. Injuries, we have to think about minutes for certain players, our approach to the games. But there was a confidence about us when we came in. We would have loved to be in Leeds or Burnley's position. Don't get me wrong. We've always believed we can win. Even when we're in the Premier League, we believe we could go into any game and win. And we need to have that mentality now. There's a negativity around the playoffs, and I'll deal with that as and when they come around. But right now, deal with the next game. I thought we were good on Monday night. It was a poor penalty to concede. We need to tighten up defensively, but the attitude of the players collectively was good. We can't try and force it too much. You don't want to be snapping at your chances, that sort of thing. But we have to find big moments now. Big moments for the players. 15 to 20 points. We're going to be 15 to 20 points clear of the 6th place team. That doesn't guarantee anything, but it should give us confidence about when our best team turn up, we're likely to be a very tough match for whoever we come up against, certainly the team in 6th. Have you had a word with Gus then, says Danny, in terms of the fouls that he commits? Because as much as we love everything that he brings to this team, this is an Achilles heel, isn't it, potentially? And he says, yeah, we need to be in control more. 50% of those cards were avoidable, potentially. He understands that we can't miss our best player. He is our best player, and we can't afford to lose him. But if the trade-off is that, having players that want to win and compete and get back and battle, I'll take that over passive players that we've had in the recent past, which is a really interesting statement. He has no time for that Premier League side of last season at all. Certainly the attitudes of that Premier League side and certain players within it. Danny talked about Tyrese Campbell's today being quoted, or over the last week has been quoted about what it would mean to him and the legacy that his dad has set out to play in the Premier League. Tyrese Campbell, for those that aren't aware, is the son of Kevin Campbell, who sadly passed away, I think, in the last 12 months. It was just in the close season, I believe. And great player, great Premier League player, played for Arsenal, played for Everton. I think he went over to Fenerbahce. He certainly went over to a Turkish side, I think, or Besiktas, somebody like that. I think it might have been Fenerbahce, but really good career. Bit of a similar player to Tyrese, I would say. Obviously had more success than Tyrese has had so far in his career, but probably a bit stockier, a bit stronger than Tyrese. Played alongside Ian Wright for a long time at Arsenal. And Obviously, he was Tyrese Campbell's idol growing up. And Tyrese has spoken this week about wanting to emulate his dad and play in the Premier League and what it would mean to him to do so. And Wilder says the story's right the way through the team. He says every single player's got their own story. Tyrese has done outstanding this season. We do need to manage his minutes and keep him fresh. There's lots to do over the next 10 days, but he's had a fantastic season. Coming as a free transfer, we're delighted with him. He's played a huge part in our season so far and getting us to where we are. But every player has a story, and I think as we go through the playoff campaign, and hopefully a successful one, you'll see more of that. And the final question of the press conference today was Danny saying that it's been 100 years since United won at Wembley. Too long, essentially. So what's your thoughts on that? He says there's work to be done before then, Dan. We've got to get there first. There's no guarantees in the playoffs. But what I will say is this is a new group of players. It's super important that it's a complete sellout. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere going into the away fixture. It needs to be replicated at Bramall Lane. For us to get to Wembley, we need the support of our fans and our supporters. The club has been here since 1889. They're going to be here for, barring any disasters, they're going to be here for at least another 150 years, and we will win a playoff final. We will win a playoff campaign. Look at Newcastle, like they've won a trophy for the first time in many years, and no one would not back them to go on and do that again. We want to end the season on a high, and then the rewards will speak for themselves. Another brilliant press conference from Chris Wilder. There's nobody else that can get me in that mindset like he can. I just want to thank Lee as well for saying, letting us know that 91 points in the 22-23 season is the current record for our points total. So we'd have to get to, can we get to 92? We're on 80. What are we on? Oh, I've not got it here on the graphic. We're on 86 at the minute. So yeah, we can. We've got to win both games to do that. That's what he's talking about. So Danny starts us off with the comments today. Up the Ramble, up the Blades, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Hope you're doing well. David says, morning, Jimmy and all the Ramblers, and welcome to this week's edition of Wilder's Wondrous Tales. Up all the Rambles, up the Blades, like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up, please. Thank you, David. Yeah, it wasn't so much. We always joke about these press conferences that Wilder doesn't give anything away. There wasn't so much focus today, and nor should there be really, on who will be playing. It wasn't like a tactical breakdown, this one. It was more of a, how do we rejig everything? How do we readjust? How do we recalibrate and go again as a club? That was the overall sort of message today, which meant he didn't need to be cloak and dagger with anybody. He certainly didn't name the team. I wouldn't have expected him to. But what David's alluding to is something that we normally joke about. Wilder's Wondrous Tales is that so-and-so's fit, so-and-so's going to be in contention, or it might be another game or two, and then he turns up in starting lineup. All these sort of things, there wouldn't no need for any of those sort of abstract mind games that he plays. And he should do as well. He should do. Tom says, morning, Jimbo. Morning, pal. Hope you're well. What do you think of Farker could be getting sacked? I disagree with Chris Wilder here, which I'm going to do because it's his trade, obviously. But I think it's a big club mentality to look to bring. You've got to upgrade on him. You've got to upgrade if you're going to sack him. And it depends what sort of level of coach you're going for. But I think it gives you more of a chance because I don't know whether Farker is a Premier League manager. It's very harsh, very harsh. But if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm quite excited by it. Rich says, morning, Jimmy. Really need to make it a hostile environment at the lane for the second leg. Up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. I agree, Rich, and that's something that Wilder talked about. There is a Facebook page from, let me just see if I can get the details now. I should have had this ready to go, so I apologise, but I didn't know we were going to lean into it today. I thought it would be more prevalent for the playoff campaign. But I have been speaking to Lee Winter, who is closely associated with the FAB, the Fan Advisory Board. And he has a group on Facebook called Shoreham Boys 89, and he's looking to massively improve the atmosphere at Bramall Lane. So if anybody wants to go over, and I'll try and get some details, I'll post it in our group or wherever I can, wants to go over and support Lee's movement. He's talking a little bit like the Ultra movement, where we have pockets of fans, certainly no aggression or anything like that, more just atmosphere based. So if anybody wants to join in with that and the Fab's mission to try and get the atmosphere improved at the Lane, let's try and do it. Let's try and start it off at Blackburn, and I'll get some more information out before the warm-up for Blackburn. And then hopefully going into this playoff campaign, we can make United and Bramall Lane certainly the cauldron that it should be with the amount of people in there. People used to talk about it being a hostile environment and a great place to go. It's not been that this season. And we have to do our bit as well, I think, if we're all going to get... I posted something on X today. Get behind the boys, because I appreciate we can all point fingers at any stage of the season. I think post-season, should we fail, that's probably the time to do it. And that's inevitably going to happen, but not now. Not now when we've got so much still on the line. Mark Meldrew, who's normally quite negative, but I'm going to call him by his real name today, Mark Hill. Morning, Jimmy. Chris Wilder, what a bloke. If anyone can watch his press conference and think he's not the man to lead us forward, then I don't know what to say. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up the Meldrew. Come on, Blades, says Matthew. Nice one, Mark. Nice one, pal. That's very good of you. Dane says, great presser by the gaffer. Thought he handled the Leeds Bamford thing perfectly. I agree, mate. Hinted at changes, which is good. Keep the faith. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Get O'Hare, Cannon holding in for as long as they can do, and hope they get some form for the playoffs, says Will. Absolutely right, mate. I think all three. I mean, I haven't got Callum O'Hare in my starting 11, but that's because I like the two up top. I would be bringing Callum O'Hare on in that 10 just to see how that goes as well. But Tom Cannon, especially after his goal, and Rob Holding are musts for me. Dino says, I do think Chrissy Boy's selection needs to improve, or it could be his neck on the block. We don't know how tough the new owners could be. We don't, pal. That's right. We don't know that. So it might be promotion or bust. Might be. We'll have to wait and see. Morning, Jimmy. Well, he's done it again, says Ian. I'm well and truly excited for the playoffs. Hopefully won't be a letdown this time. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Ab says, morning, Jim. What did everyone have on Wilder Bingo? I had, where were we when he first walked through the door? Squad of youth players, third best team in the league. I don't think he mentioned the first two, did he? Oh, well, I suppose, yeah. He did mention 2016. Squad of youth players he didn't mention. Third best team in the league, he did. Brett says, Wilder's the best man to get us out of our first playoff win. Wouldn't want anyone else at the moment. All managers lose games. It's how it finishes that counts. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Connor says, good luck for the remainder of the season, Jimmy. Apologies for some of the Leeds fans a couple of days ago. Hopefully at least gain some subscribers so they could comment. Yeah, I think they're subscribed and then unsubscribed after they'd abused us. But look, we work hard and we've got a lot of quality mods in here that are usually all over that. They were just coming in thick and fast at one stage. So, yeah, we're not a place where we won't suffer any abuse or anything like that. All fan bases are welcome, but it's not what our community is about. So they will get banned and tanked off if you're abusive in any way, because we're not abusive or disrespectful to other teams. So Ray says, got to put the last couple of weeks behind us. I've been critical, but I'm absolutely right behind the lads and Chris, and we can win the playoffs. Come on, you Blades, up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe. Love that, Ray, because I know you've been having a bit of a wobble yourself. Normally very positive, mate, but understandably so concerned with the recent run of form. I'm glad that you're right behind him again, because we've got to be, haven't we? We've got to be. And if that opens us up to being vulnerable and having one last dagger in our hearts, then maybe so. But the rewards, if we can do it, are undeniable. Bryce says, morning, Jimmy. Not very confident about the playoffs, especially over two legs. Won't mind staying in the championship, just not ready. Up the Blades. I don't subscribe to that opinion, Bry. I think I can make an argument to say that we'll be okay next season if we're in the championship, but I think you have to aspire to be in the Premier League. Otherwise, what are we doing it for? Why are we doing it? Dan says, I'm sure Wilder wouldn't have rang Farker the other way around. You don't know that, mate. You don't know that. I think there's a perception of Chris Wilder that goes before him sometimes. None of us know. Only very few of us know, I should say, what he's really like, and I think he would have potentially done that the other way around. Josh says, morning, mate. Hope you're well. Who are you most bothered about playing in the playoffs? Again, I'll address this when we know more about who we've got. But if my honest answer is, I would prefer more of a footballing team like Borough or Coventry. I think Bristol City and Millwall would be a little bit dodgy for us, if I'm honest. And not that we can't get through all of them, because we can. But I think we've proven that we can be far better than Middlesbrough and Coventry on our best day, which we'd need to be. But yeah, the other two have given us problems this season. Chris says, Leeds fan, hate your team so much, but I do hope you go back up in a local match. Looking at the playoff teams, you should smash it. Thank you, Chris. I think it was 89 points in 2019, says Jack. No, it was 91 points in 22-23. We just had it confirmed from Lee, but I thought that, Jack. I thought it were 88 or 89. Just United says he's got 2 games to get it right for the playoffs. Sunderland have had 6 weeks to prepare. We've got 2 weeks. I don't mind that, mate. I don't mind that. 90 points, 22-23 season, Jim. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles. Like and subscribe. I've got... let's have a look. Yeah, Championship. We won 28 and drew 7. Finishing on 91 points in 22-23. Thank you to Lee for his diligent work, which is why he's going to be part of the Ramble team next season. Love that, mate. Ricky says our players look more mentally fatigued than physically. Campbell off the ball completely over the last 5 games. It looks like there are too many instructions during playing. We need to keep it simple. We don't know what they're being told during game, Rick, to be fair, mate. We don't. Maybe clearer instructions. I don't know. But we're speculating, aren't we? We've no idea. It might just be that the cream cracker, might be that the mental fatigue of being in such a tense battle all season long, and particularly coming down to crunch time, has just got the better of us. It might be a bit of mental fragility, because Wilder talked about that as well. So we're speculating to say anything else, like they're being given too many instructions and things. And you can have that opinion, that's absolutely fine, but we don't know that, do we, to be honest? 91 points in 22-23, up the Blades, up all the Rambles, like and subscribe, and Lee confirms 91 points. Thank you very much. Jimmy said 2 yellow cards in the remaining 2 matches carries over into the playoffs. Supposedly that also applies to getting a player a straight red means a 3-game ban. I would assume so, Michael. You can only think that's the case, can't you? Because that would be the logical thing to say. Kevin Campbell also played for Nottingham Forest. He certainly did. He certainly did. And a very good player he was. Come on, how many leads on here? Let's get the likes and subs up. Jim's a really good lad. Marching on together up the Ramble, Yorkshire. Thank you, Jace. Appreciate that, pal. Wayne says, I watched an interview from the Millwall manager who said he noticed United hardly ever crossed the ball. Stats back that up, so they settle for United to have the ball wide, and they are less effective. That's exactly what Alex Neil said, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for all of us, and it shows how deep teams go into stats data and how they can win the percentages, really. And that is how Millwall beat us. That is how Millwall beat us. They pushed us out wide. They knew that we were less effective out wide. And that's a shame for us in terms of having 2 wingers and not being effective out wide. It hasn't really worked for us this season. I still don't think the system is flush with what we want to do. I don't really see patterns to our play. I think that needs to be sorted out in the closed season, whatever league we're in. And we'll see where we go from there. Do we change it again? I would be an advocate of that potentially. Or we just get a little bit more straightforward in what we're trying to do. Connor says, why else would Bamford ring Wilder unless to apologise? Yeah, I agree. I'm laughing just imagining he rang him to sing the same song, The Scenes. Surely not. That would have been housery of the highest order. Ricky says, with Josh Brownhill scoring 16 goals this season from centre midfield and our top scorer has 10, a striker does that show how off the boil we are when it comes to goals? Granted, Burnley have scored 1 more than us. Possibly. Josh Brownhill's been more of a 10 this season in most games. I know he wasn't against us and he got 2 goals. He does take all the penalties as well. But aside from that, he's essentially scored 60. Well, scoring 16 goals from midfield, wherever you play, is a superb record. He's been a very good player this year. I think we have, historically as a team, very rarely had one outlying goal scorer. Obviously, Billy Sharp was our top goal scorer for many seasons. James Beattie was a great striker for us. Ollie McBurney did he get up to 16 or 17 one year? But as a team, we generally share the goals around. I would love a striker that we depend more on for goals. Tyrese Campbell has not been fit all season and he's got up to 10. Tom Cannon got 10 in half a season before coming to us. So we have got players that have got the potential to do it. It's just, can we get the system that feeds them in the right way? Steve says, Leeds fan, I hope you Blades can do it in the playoffs. It would be some sort of travesty about the 3 teams being so far ahead and not go up. We think the same, to be honest. And we would have said the same had the roles been reversed. Is the Chris Wilder press conference streamed live at all? As I've tried to find a live stream without success. Yeah, it is. I was sent a link in our WhatsApp group, Michael. So that's how I found it. I was looking this morning and couldn't see it early doors. It must have been advertised quite late. It's on the Sheffield United website. Their defence eclipses ours, meaning Burnley's does, Ricky? Yeah, absolutely it does, by some distance. 100 years since we last won at Wembley. I remember it well, says Ray. Seriously, though, we can do it. Up the Blades. Brewster and Cannon, says Matthew. Not for me. Not for me. Imagine Blaster back for the playoffs, says Ricky. Not going to happen, pal. Not going to happen, I don't think. I'll be amazed. But yeah, it would be a huge boost, wouldn't it? A positive result at Stoke City will be a big boost for the squad going forward into the playoffs, says Michael. It will. It will, hopefully. Danny says, I'd love to see Wilder decide on a starting 11 and stick with it. Feels like he's not sure on our best 11. O'Hare, Holding, Campbell, Hamer, Vinny all need to be ready for the playoffs. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. I agree with all of those players you've mentioned. All of those players. I would also include Tom Cannon in there because I think he's shown a spark over the last game that I'm hoping more people turn to see that he could be an impact player for us in the playoffs, like a new signing, essentially, finally finding his feet, hopefully. Leighton says, I really want the Blades up with us next year. I never thought I'd join a Blades podcast, but I love you. But your content is fantastic. You and the boys do a cracking job, mate. So we'll have my fingers crossed. Thank you, Leighton. I appreciate that, mate. Lee, the Wakey Blade. Shout out to the Wakey Blades. Come on, the Wakey Blades. I'm in Aubrey, by the way, Lee. Jimmy, fully agree with going back to 3-4-1-2 next season, but I get it going for the playoffs. Front 2 needed. Wingers are not, and I could shore up the defence and still allow him to play Robbo. Yeah, that's the only thing we're going to 3 at the back this season. You have to include Robbo. So 3-4-1-2 definitely suits our players at the moment in this squad. You have Rob Holding, Anel, and Robinson in the back 3. I think Robinson's more solid in a back 3 anyway. You could also bring in Alfie Gilchrist and have Anel on the left-hand side, but that's me being finicky. Then you could go Sariki and Burrows as your wing backs, both very attack-minded players, but can get back as well when needed. Then you'd have Siddy and Vinny in the middle, Callum O'Hare in the 10, and Tom Cannon and Tyrese Campbell forming a partnership up top. That is a team. That is a team. Morning, Jim. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe, says Footy Fanatic. Ab says Wilder hasn't been sure if he's starting 11 all season. Unfortunately, square pegs and all that. Yeah, that's fair to say. I agree with that point, Ab. I agree with that point. Where can I watch the press conference? It's not on the United YouTube. It's on the United website, Jake. It's on the United website, on the SUTV section, I believe. Ab says training's booked for the final. Oh, that is optimistic. That is very optimistic. I don't like to do things like that before it's confirmed. I understand you can get better deals and stuff, but I can't bring myself to do that before it's actually happened. Michael says the best way to improve the atmosphere at the Lane is to reduce the prices for the playoffs. Hence, it will increase the demand for tickets and increase attendance for those that always can't afford to go. I think we'll sell out for the home leg of the playoffs. We certainly should. So I don't think that'll happen in terms of lowering the price. I think they'll get the demand that they want. I just think we need to do our bit when we're turning up, and we're not doing it at the moment collectively, me included on John Street. It's very hard to get an atmosphere going on John Street. This is something that Lee's trying to get going, Lee Winter. So again, if you can support his efforts over on Facebook, it'd be very much appreciated. At least check him out. What's the team news, Jim? Only just got in. Tom Davis. The only thing that they touched on really was Tom Davis is back in contention, and also that he's got loads of things to consider in terms of team selection, managing minutes. Some lads are carrying knocks. He said it won't be wholesale changes, and they want to go out and win the last 2 games, which goes without saying, doesn't it, really? But there will be a few changes by the sound of it. Thailand Tim says, if we're playing 2 up front, I fancy Brewster and Cannon. Why, Tim? I respect your opinion usually. Brewster's not selfish and his energy could match well. I'd also play Sousa. Needs match time, not rest after his injury. I think that's right, to be honest, on Sousa. And you do make a good point about Brewster. That will be resting Cannon as well. Jake says, has to be at 4-1-2-1-2 with wingers for me. the two up top just works. 4, then 1 in the middle, 2 out wide. Like a diamond, I suppose you mean. Interesting. Leeds falling apart again. They get auto promotion, then shot themselves in the foot with all this sacking talk. Hardly going to help them in the pursuit of the title and 100-point mark going forward. Bigger picture, Michael, for me. Bigger picture. They need a manager that's going to keep them in the Premier League and potentially push them on in the Premier League. So, if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm admiring the ambition. Even if it doesn't happen, even the consideration of changing manager, I think is a positive thing for them as a club, to be honest. Tom says, you'll have your day at Wembley and celebrate like hell. I truly believe you will go up. I hope you're right, Tom. Hope you're right, mate. Mitch says, King of Hillsborough, King of Sheffield, Sir Chrissy Wilder. Absolutely right, pal. Mick Hartley, our latest Platinum Rambler. Thank you very much for the support, Mick. Hope you're good, pal. If Farker's not good enough for the Prem, do we think Wilder would be? As he's no big name, really, except for the Blades. I think sometimes managers and clubs just mesh. You look at Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and now at Newcastle. Chris Wilder has been that for us. He has been a perfect match for us. It's debatable. Some will say no, he's not. He's not been good in the Prem. Others will say he's done it in the Prem. Finished 9th with a team that had no right to finish 9th. So that's up for debate, and will only be debated if we get there, won't it, to be fair? Ricky says, our aim is to do the best we can, and settling for the championship is defeat before we even get started. Let's get behind the boys and drive them to success. On paper, we are the best of the 4, so let's do it up the Ramble. Top man, Ricky, I completely agree. Completely agree with that mentality. You can't settle for the championship. As I say, if it happens, I can argue that we will be okay next season, but I don't want to even have to do that. I've already done a little worst case scenario video. If we've no money in the championship, I still think we'll be strong next season. But we don't. That was only because people were really panicking, and I wanted to show that all is not lost, whatever happens. But we're in the playoffs, and we have every chance of winning the playoffs. Every chance. Dino says, I do think it's right that we really need to sell out this time. I understand the negativity, but we'll be outnumbered at Wembley with any of the other teams in it this year, and it'll be embarrassing up the Blades. I don't think we'll be out. I think we'll be outnumbered if we play Sunderland in the final. If we play Bristol City, I'm not sure we will be. If we play Coventry, I'm not sure we will be. I think they're, fairly even. I think Sunderland have swathes of fans, don't they? They have a huge fan base. But I think we can match any other team we come up against in terms of numbers. You reckon Wilder will go for the old school Wilder 3-5-2? No, I don't. Footy fanatic. I think he's a little bit wedded to this 4-2-3-1. And to change it now might scream of desperation. It could be a genius move, but it might scream of desperation. And when I say the 4-2-3-1, it might be a 4-4-2 with just the only tweak to the 4-2-3-1 being that the 10 goes up alongside the other striker. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Callum O'Hare come back in at the 10. Have you seen TalkSport referring to Scott Parker to Tottenham? Can't see that happening, to be honest. Why? Why can't you see that, Danny? He's got admirers at Tottenham. He's a former Tottenham player. He has done an excellent job at Burnley. And he's had Bournemouth promoted. He set his career back significantly with what he said about the Bournemouth team. He said something like, this team aren't good enough, or they haven't got the bottle, or something. He said something ridiculous that set his career back significantly. He ended up winning Club Bruges. I don't even know how he did over there, but got the Burnley job, and he's done a great job there. You cannot deny what he's done with Burnley. I think because Leeds are certainly a bigger club. I would say Sheffield United are historically a bigger club than Burnley. And certainly our focus has been on Sheffield United. And then you look at Leeds chasing Leeds. Burnley have been the third wheel a lot of the season, and they're the team that's rightly finished second. They deserve to be second. They're 31 unbeaten at home. They've conceded, 14 goals at home all season? Why would he not get linked with a big job in the Premier League? He's going to be a Premier League manager next year. Why would he not get linked with a bigger club? I can see it. I can see it happening. Anglo-Saxon says, even if we don't go up, we've had a very strong season after the horror of last year. I like the 4-3-3 going forward. Cooper, Hamza, Anel, Holding and Burrows, Vinny Peck and Gus, BBD, O'Hare, and either Tom Cannon or Tyrese Campbell. Okay, mate. Okay. Aga do. Any idea when Alfie is back? Could we see him in the playoffs? Rory? Yes, potentially we could. Yeah, I think from what I understand, he's fit. He didn't get asked today, but it's the mystery of Alfie Gilchrist. It was where's Hamza when Hamza came back from international duty. Now it's where's Alfie, because we don't know where he is, do we? Super positive Jack says the most important thing is settling that defence. We've got to keep that back door closed and build from there. Whatever league we're in, we need to fill the holes and stop playing square pegs in round holes. Well said, pal. Well said. On Josh Brownhill, do you think he will re-sign for Burnley or move on? I think Burnley have got every chance of re-signing him and CJ Egan-Riley. Now, they should have every chance of signing him. But stranger things have happened. If an Everton comes in for Josh Brownhill on a free transfer, they can probably double his wages. So, despite Burnley getting promoted and now having a better chance than they've ever had to re-sign him, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to another Premier League club. I think he's earned it, to be honest. Whatever happens, he'll be playing Premier League football next season, and he should be. He's a very good player. Steve says, long-time lurker, new subscriber. Thank you, Stevie B. Unpopular opinion, but I don't buy into this. Wilder has done such a good job narrative. He's par at best with one of the best squads in the league, up the Ramble. And that's fair, mate. That's fair to have that opinion. I disagree. I think meshing together a completely new team is harder work than some give it credit for. If we'd have lost 5 out of 6 at the beginning of the season and finished really strong with winning 8 out of 9 and ended up third, the narrative would be completely different, because people expected us to have a slow start with a new team, and we didn't. We got off to a really strong start, and then we ended quite poorly. If it had been the other way around, then he's being hailed into and everybody's super positive going into the playoffs. Jay says, I hate the players with a passion, not very confident about winning them. However, I think Danny says, hit the like button, please. Help Jimmy and the channel loads. Yeah, it does help me loads. Thank you to everybody. If you can subscribe and like the video, it really does help us. Really, whatever I'm trying to say. Paul says, I'm assuming you lot remember Wilder calling Bamford a muppet. Yes, we do, Paul. And so does he. And that's why he said it's fair enough. So there's no issues here. Morning, mate. Hope you're well, bro, says Daryl. I am, mate. Thank you. Jack says, a positive boost means note with this squad. They trashed Cov and then fell off a cliff. We need to do better performances and score bloody goals. Footy Fanatic says, the fact we could get more points than Blades in 2023. Fulham 21-22. Bournemouth 21-22. Watford 20-21. West Brom 19-20. All finishing second and first respectively is ridiculous. Shows how strong the top two are. Absolutely right, it does. We've just been unlucky that there's been 2 better teams than us in the league this year. That's all it is. Jason says, not confident about the playoffs. However, I think Wilder is the man to do it for us. Up the Blades, up the full-time Ramble, like and subscribe. Steve says, I just think Chrissy has put most of his energy into convincing us what a superb job he's done. Results have been okay. Performances have not. I think it speaks for itself, though, where we are in the league, Steve, whether you think he's trying to spin us or not. But the proof is in the pudding with third and third by a distance. CB says, just looked on the website, but it won't bring up the presser, says 404 error. Maybe they know I'm a Leeds fan. You have to log in on your profile. You have to have a membership. It's free to have a membership on the website, but that's how you access the press conference. Half a dozen French lads got the atmosphere going on John Street. Yes, they did. The Leon fan says, Ian, that's right. Morning, Jim Leeds fan here, rooting for you boys. Thank you, Yorkshire Pud. We've had so many of those, which is mind-blowing. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? And we'd have probably been in the same boat with them just because of how it's gone this year. 3-4-1-2. Hamza, Souza in centre midfield. O'Hare in the 10. Campbell and Cannon up front, says Lee. Like it a lot. The Cop atmosphere is okay, but it's got worse, says Footy Fanatic. If we can turn it into a fortress it once was back in 2019 and before, it'll be like playing with 12 players. Completely agree, but what do we all think to banning kids from the Cop? Jamie Dunplain. I have to get those digs in there every now and again. Ridiculous shout. Ridiculous shout. Michael says, I would have Hamza and Souza as holding players in the first leg away in the playoffs, as it'll be a cautious, tense, tight affair. As last season playoff first legs were with West Brom and Southampton, Norwich and Leeds. Possibly. You could argue that Robinson plays, he might get a red card, and that solves the playoff selection dilemma. Scott Parker is one of the names being linked to Tottenham if they sack Ange, as Parker was a former player. Yes, he is. Ian says you have to catch it live. It'll be back on later. Not sure when, though. Sheila says, does anybody know the views of our new owners? Will the investment be there for several new faces? They are surely ambitious for the Prem. They surely are, Sheila. We certainly know that. But we've not heard from them, have we? Which has been interesting. I'm anticipating that we start to hear over the summer, certainly a little bit from them in terms of their intentions. Danny says he clearly doesn't rate Holding above Robbo. Don't say that, Dan. Don't say that. You can't say that. I lose faith in the Messiah. Not just on the pitch, but off it. Robbo isn't captain material. Is there a reason Wilder prefers Robbo? No, there can't be. There can't be. Michael says, what are the dates for the playoff semi-finals and the final, Jim? So the first leg of the playoffs semi-finals for us, the third placed against the sixth, is Thursday the 8th of May. The home leg is on Monday the 12th of May. And the final is Saturday the 24th of May. He let himself down by opening his gob. Did Scott Parker? Yeah, he did. He lost his head in that moment, didn't he, to be honest. Dino says, sold 41,000 Coventry last time at Wembley. They'll sell out, sell us out, outsell us, trust me. Obviously not if our true numbers turn out. And that's the point, isn't it, Dino? There's not 41,000 that trying. It's not a sellout every week at CBS, is it? Not a chance. So just because we can get 30,000 at Bramall Lane some weeks. So I think it depends on us turning up, doesn't it? I suppose, like you've said there. Ian says, usually around lunchtime for the presser. Jake says, are Blades going up, Jim? Don't know, mate. I certainly hope so. Michael says, Jimmy, you should have another bet with Connor. If the Blades win the playoffs, then he should wear a Blades shirt, or even worse, for him to put an owl shirt on. Why would he take that bet, though, Michael? Why would he take that? There's no jeopardy for me, I suppose. Dan says, why do you think Parker being linked to Spurs over Farker? Just as a Leeds fan, in my view, it's clouded. Love listening to the channel. Thank you, Dan. I think good point. Good point. Maybe Premier League record comes into it. Not that Parker's got a particularly impressive one. I don't know. Maybe it's the former player link. A little bit of what's the word? Sentimentality. I don't know, but I do really admire the job that Parker's done. I think Farker's done a great job as well, but I also understand potentially changing the manager. Ricky says, I don't care what formation we play as long as Hamer's in the middle. Let Gus go do Gus type things. Love that. I like Wilder, but if Leeds are showing big club mentality, if they move on Farker, shouldn't we consider the same? Tim, unbelievable from you. Fraser says, be nice to use these next two games as a chance to assess our strengths and weaknesses in the last 5 games. Take a breather and go again. They're a strong group of lads who have the wit and grit to beat any of the remaining sides. I personally think we don't have much to change. If we can cut out the recent misplaced passing and speed up our transitions and build up play, we'll be back to our best. I hope you're right, Fraser. I hope you're right, pal. Footy Fanatic says, if we stay down, I feel we'll do better going up next season. Like when Wilder was here first time, need time, 2 to 3 seasons, nearly 2 done. But let the team properly gel like in 2019 if we go up. But financially, it'll boost us. And like you say, as a club, it'll boost us. But morally and as a fan. Okay. Joe mentioned on his podcast yesterday that Brownhill has yet to sign a new contract with Burnley. He didn't sound too confident that he would. He acknowledged that Trafford could likely be gone. Yes, I think Trafford is gone, to be honest. And again, I wouldn't be overly confident if I'm a Burnley fan, but they've put themselves in the best possible position to re-sign Brownhill and CJ Egan-Riley, who's also out of contract. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe, says Fraze. Nige says, Leeds fan, can't believe I'm saying this. I really hope you get promoted. Great content, Jim. Love the stick you give Connor. So do I, pal. So do I. Red 5 says, Horbury White here, Jimbo. Need you guys up so I can stay subscribed. See you in the playground. You're staying subscribed, whatever happens at you. Let's be right. Danny says, going to be gutted if we can't do the Farker and Parker, Bodger and Badger theme tune next season. Have to find 2 other rhyming managers. Farker and Parker, Farker and Parker. La, 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 la. Thoughts on Bamford's chant during Leeds celebrations? Part and parcel, mate. You know, didn't like it, but got to take it. So one of them things, isn't it? Michael says the one thing for certain out of the 3 promoted teams to the Premier League is that Farke will be on a short leash if he's to remain the Leeds manager and the first of the promoted managers to go. I don't know if that's for certain, but yeah, he may well go before the start of the season, so that'll be proving that point. Footy Fanatic says Burnley could be doing a United and losing their best players weeks before the Premier League season. They could. Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you to everybody. Oh, hang on. Tim says, heard something lately about Fergie moving his backroom staff around regularly to keep ideas changing and stay ahead. Don't know if that's something Wilder does. Not that I'm aware of, pal. Not that I'm aware of. So it's an interesting approach, isn't it? It's an interesting approach. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. We are back again tomorrow for the watch along of Stoke City versus Sheffield United. What team will we be playing? Will it be the under-21s? Probably not. Will it be a rotated side? Probably so. Or will it be the playoff side that we're all hoping to see? I think we will be resting a couple of key players. But myself and Jordan Motson will be there, quickly followed by 90 after 90. So join us there. Thank you to everyone that's joined us this morning. If you're not already and you enjoy the content, please do like and subscribe. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Of the blade!